What up, my fellow dorks? It is the Turtle Dork back with a new review for you today. Now, this is a film that I'm going to be kind of vague on. I think it comes on a limited release this week and then wider next week. That is Sorry to Bother You. This is the new indie film directed by Boots Riley, and it's starring LaKeith, Stanfield, Tessa Thompson, Danny Glover is in this, Stephen Yeun, Terry Crews, Omari Hardwick, Armie Hammer. It's a really good and interesting and just an oddly weird film. So yeah, let me start off by saying I'm just going to give you like my overall thoughts. Now, I was able to go to an advanced screening here in the DC area at the AFI, at the AFI, where they had a Q&A with Boots Riley after the film, which was very interesting. I'll talk a little bit about that, but just to get into kind of like my overall non-spoiler thoughts of the film, I thought this film was fantastic. It's a movie that I believe it's one of those movies that stay with you. We talk about this a lot, where there's a lot of disposable cinema, empty calories, where you watch movies and they don't really add anything to the conversation about it. But this is a film that I think is so layered that every time you watch this film, you're going to grab something new from it. And those are films that are very subtle and very nuanced that we don't really get to see a lot of. What Boots Riley is really kind of doing in this film is like he's really touching on a lot of different themes in this movie. Some of the ones that I kind of picked up on were themes of like the 99 cent versus the 1%ers, divide and conquer, dealing with social class structure, dealing with quote unquote modern day slavery. But I guess you can say that more so just dealing with the ethics, or the ethics in the workplace or in the workforce, and how people use and abuse their employees. So which kind of correlates to slavery in some capacity, at least from my view, in the way that the film was trying to portray that. But regardless, I thought this film was doing something that was tremendous in the storytelling and trying to talk about a lot of these different themes. And that kind of goes to something else that I noticed, especially when we got to the Q&A, talking to the director, Boots Riley. We talked about, or he mentioned, well, the moderator, let me just say that, asked him about the messages in his film, and was he worried that audiences wouldn't get his message in the movie. And his answer was really interesting, is the fact that he didn't make this movie to necessarily be a quote-unquote message film. He just put into this film how he sees the world. This is his worldview. This is his experience. This is how he sees things. Living in Oakland, going through certain type of jobs, and I think that kind of lends itself to some of the social commentary that we see in the film. So it doesn't hit you over the head with a lot of that stuff. And like I said, the movie, it's not preachy, but it's a really absurd, odd, and weird film in a good way, in a really good way. And I think that it works in this film's benefit, because the comedy really hits you, especially in the first act of the film. And I think a lot of comedic movies or comedic centric movies do this very well, especially movies that have real world themes and social commentary in them, is that you hit them with the comedy really hard in the beginning, and that kind of disarms your audience, and it's more inviting to your audience, so that when you get halfway through the film, especially in this film, into that third act, it really starts to get into some heavy commentary, that it goes to some heavy and dark places. But again, I like the twists and the turns that this movie takes, but you definitely have to go along. It's a journey and it's a ride. and let me just go to some of the performances. Some of the performances are really, really outstanding in this. LaKeith Stanfield, say his name right. He gives such an amazing a performance that really just kind of goes across the whole spectrum, especially with the stuff that he's experiencing. There's just so much that he's doing with this character. Tessa Thompson is awesome in this movie. Somebody that you don't see a lot in the trailer is Stephen Yeun. Stephen Yeun, who we know as Glenn from The Walking Dead. And actually, I have a point about that too, because of the rumors about Andrew Lincoln wanting to leave The Walking Dead. But Stephen Yeun is, to me, I thought he was one of the standouts, because him being a TV actor and playing that character of Glenn for so long, it would be hard to kind of see him in a different light. But these are the type of opportunities that you want to have when you leave a well-established TV show. And I think speaking to that, it's like ever since he got hit in the head with that bat, it feels like that was probably the best thing that ever happened to his career. Because I got a feeling that Stephen Yeun is really going to start making a big splash in movies coming up. Or at least I hope so. But you can see why Andrew Lincoln would want to maybe kind of leave The Walking Dead right now. When you see Stephen Yeun, you see Denai Guerrera and what she's doing outside of The Walking Dead, with being in Black Panther, and you know she's going to start getting more offers as well. It's great to be on a hit TV show, but it can also kind of, you know, put your career at a halt to a certain degree. But anyway, I get off on a tangent about that. But he's really good in the film. There's so many peripheral characters, so many secondary characters, supporting characters in this film that I think are absolutely fantastic. If there's anything, if there was one slight I had against the film, I think it does run a little long, especially when we get into that third act. You can start kind of looking at your watch a little bit, so I think there might be some pacing issues. I mean, this is all more technical stuff, but I think there's some pacing issues towards the end of the film, and because he's dealing with so many different themes, I think that sometimes it feels like Bruce Riley, the director, maybe bit off a little more that he can chew as far as like putting so many of these ideas into this film. But again, these are really, really nitpicks. At this point in time, there's not really a lot of negative I can really say about this film, but definitely go see it. It's a conversation starter. It's definitely a movie to experience. I would love to hear what other people have to say about this film. So please, if you have seen Sorry to Bother You, let me know what you thought of the film. Like it, hate it, or indifferent from it. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Remember to go ahead, rate, like, subscribe, and share. And go ahead and check out my other dorks, at MouthDork, at TheDiscoDork, and at Sidewalk Siren. And as for me, I am the Turtle Dork. And with that, your boy is out.